So I'm going to call our meeting to order. Today is June 23rd, 2020. Today is a business meeting of the North Kingstown School Committee. Pursuant to the governor's executive orders, this meeting is being conducted by Zoom virtual chat due to the current state of emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I would ask if everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic and one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Blasball, could we remain standing for a moment of silence?
Yes, sorry. Now that we all sat down, Dr. Izzy, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so the moment of silence this evening is for Dick Fossa. As you all know, Dick passed away this past week. A tremendous athletic director and an even better human being. He was just so influential in everyone that he touched. The outpouring of support from multiple districts where he either worked or they just knew him through the athletic program speaks for itself. Tremendous person, and he cared nothing more than student athletes and doing what was good for them. And so we will dearly miss him. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll.
Mr. Blasberg?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. Hildebrand? Here. Mrs. Hoskins? Here. Mr. Mather?
Here.
Mrs. Schott?
Here.
And Joseph Fento?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And any presentations or recognitions this evening?
You know what? I have one, but I know Carolyn Garlick, who we're looking to hire this evening for the Davisville Academy principal. I know she's trying to get on right now, so if we could hold on that for a few minutes, I'll come back to it.
Okay, we can do that.
Dr. Mansiri, I don't know if you have anything for recognitions tonight. You're
right.
muted.
I'll get you, Mr. Jones. I'll recognize you quickly first, because
Yeah, just recognition. Maybe Phil, you're going to cover this in wrap up later. But I think we had a few athletes win state or something level awards recently.
Yeah, I don't have the details on that in front of me. I saw that information. One, and I will make sure I mention them next time we meet. But one thing that I do want to mention in regards to Dick Fossa, tomorrow morning, Dr. Morse and I are going to actually to East Greenwich High School very briefly. Tomorrow morning was supposed to be the Interscholastic League Awards for sports in the state, and North Kingstown High School had won the best sports high school in Rhode Island, and Dick was supposed to be receiving that award. So Dr. Morse and I it's not at the Crown Plaza with a big crowd like it was originally planned to be, but we will meet with the leadership there and get a picture and say a few words. So sorry, I don't have those names in front of me tonight. I don't know, Mr. Jones, if you have it, and if you.
No, I just and I know, like, we would have if with everything going. I think musicians too. So just at some point, I just know I've heard bits and pieces.
Yes.
We've gone around. Just recognize we've had a lot of students receive state or higher recognition for their achievements.
So we're getting reorganized in the athletic director area. We're fortunate that Howie Haig, our former athletic director, is still a teacher at North Kingstown High School and is agreed to help us out for the summer. So we have some ideas about how we'd like to fill the job permanently, but nothing that I can announce just yet. And one way or another, we plan to have a proposal to the school committee by the end of the summer for sure, in terms of a new hire. So.
Okay. And Dr. Mansiri, did you have something you wanted to add? You were muted at the time and I wasn't sure. Okay. All right, then I think we've reached.
Blasbog, do you see another name to join the meeting?
I do not.
No, Carolyn Garlick is mentioning she's having a hard time getting in.
Yeah, no, I'm keeping an eye. I've let a couple of people in, so, Mr. Chair, I'm keeping an eye on that for you.
Okay, good. I get a little ding and I can see it, but there's no one right now.
Yep.
All right, so then what we will do is we'll move on to citizens' comments. So for citizens' comments, the easiest way is if you go under the participants tab, you should have an option to raise your hand if you would like to speak. If you cannot find that button and want to you want to share your video and wave frantically and or unmute at this point and tell me, I would let anyone who would like to have an opportunity to speak do so at this time. Okay, I do not see anyone with a hand raised or indicating in any other way that they'd like to speak at this point. Okay. So moving on, next item on the agenda would be the superintendent's report. Dr. Ogier.
Combobulated at the moment. So for the report tonight, I want to talk about the reopening of school and some of the things that are going on there. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole great deal to report in terms of the details. They're just not known to us yet. There are way more questions about reopening than answers, even with the RIDE guidance that came out. So I was on a lengthy meeting with my fellow superintendents today and with some of the leaders at RIDE and the governor's office, just going through questions, trying to get some answers, and even the guidance that's put out is kind of evolving. So we have the guidance. We have to complete a template with our plan by July 17th. We have in our plans to work with the Connecticut Center for School Change. They're an organization that can help us with the planning. They don't have all the answers either, but they do have a way to kind of organize us and get us focused on asking the right questions. 7 Rhode Island districts are doing that with us, and that's starting later this week. There is a district advisory committee. Mr. Blaswald is on that representing the school committee, and there are various people, including I see Joe Bento there and Tina Bilodeau and Sue Warburton, different, represent different constituents in the district, elementary, middle, high school, parents, union members, and even Joe representing the students at the North Kingstown High School. As we get our plans and start to solidify them, they will be a group that we will, report to and try to get some feedback about, how is that received from their area? Do we have some blind spots? Are the things that they could suggest to help us make improvements? And of course, our administrative team is very busy planning. We're already at it, but we plan to do so with a full, group on site to that, and that would be, the week after the 4th of July. So we know we're gonna, produce a plan, and we know it's going to be a good one that is going to be prioritizing safety above all else. Whether that plan has everybody in school for every class they take every day, or has, at different levels, maybe there's a variety where a lot of what you do is in school, but some just can't be that way. So it's distance learning. That could be a possibility. That we also have to have 3 levels of planning, one for everyone in pretty much all the time, one for if there's kind of a different level that the governor declares that we need to go to kind of a restricted access where kids aren't in as much or only certain students are, and then one with very limited access for kids who absolutely need to be in the buildings because their education would be affected so much if they weren't. And those things could change on a moment's notice. If flu season were to come on strong and this brings on the coronavirus and another spike in the fall, it may turn out that we need to, retreat to distance learning formats. So it's important that we invest in, and a number of items on the agenda tonight are about, improving the technology, investing in the educational technology that we need to be ready for anything. And we feel that all of us are going to need to be ready to use our technology in as best a format that we can, even when the kids are in. And so that we're that much more ready to transition if one student needs to go into quarantine, if a class needs to go into quarantine, or if a whole school or the whole district needs to go into quarantine for a while. So that's the challenge. None of it is easy. And, I don't think my job particularly has ever been, it's never been more challenging. There's a whole new world out there. And I'm sure that this is going to affect the way that we work in education, not only until, there is an end to the coronavirus, but it will probably have some effect on, how we go about education long into the future. So I don't know if there are any questions from the committee on that item. If not.
I have one question.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, it's more of a comment. I noticed transportation survey went out.
Yes. I
Today or yesterday.
Yes.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to mention that.
So earlier today, and if there's anyone watching at home, please check your email, because all parents in the district got an email with a transportation survey that pertains to regular ed transportation. If your child has an IEP, we're going to be following up with you separately about how transportation, we can best do that. But obviously, if you know anything about the state regs, there are strict limits on the number of kids on a bus. Essentially, the guideline is about 1 per seat right now. So you can imagine that there are some bus runs that will have to be limited significantly. So we're just trying to get a sense right now of how many parents would be willing to drive their kids into school or carpool into school, and how much we can, get from that. And then we'll make some decisions from there, whether that's having to do something with the catchment areas for buses, or dramatically changing schedules for schools so that we can increase the number of bus runs to make sure we get all the kids we need to get. But we just don't know how much of that we're going to need to do until we get a sense from the community, their readiness to find an alternative way into school other than a bus. So that's the kind of the preliminary work that we're starting right, even today.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. Ajay, did you want to back up?
Yes. So under recognitions, I just wanted to recognize Carolyn Garlick is with us now. She found the link. Thank you, Carolyn. So Carolyn Garlick is the person that we are recommending to be the principal of Davisville Academy. Carolyn, previous to being with us for the past 6 months in North Kingstown, where she has been the interim principal for us, and things are going very well. She and I had worked together as far back as July of 2003. So for about 6 years, she and I were part of the same administrative team in the Charahoe Regional School District, where she was the principal of the RISE Clinical Day program, which incidentally is the program that we modeled Davisville Academy after. So she is a long and successful veteran of running clinical day programs. She knew, exactly what we were looking to accomplish with Davisville Academy, and she's fit in beautifully. I know Dr. Carson wanted to be here tonight to say a few words too. She is on vacation, but Dr. Mansouri, I don't know if you want to talk about the search process and some of the things that were came
Sure.
out of that.
Absolutely. We, we did a full search, and Carolyn was unanimous pick. So that really says something about the way she's handled herself. I think her, one of the best things about it is she started second semester. So sometimes you think that might be coming in as a deficit to be the sub principal coming in at the second semester, but COVID-19 happened and we just really saw her spread her wings. She knew exactly what she was doing. She attended all of our meetings. She made sure that there was representation there for the DA program and made sure that the teachers and students, had the supports they needed. And it was just quite impressive overall for the whole semester. So I'm looking forward to continuing that work together and working collaboratively with her. So thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Blasberg, I would ask if the committee could take that item up first. It's item 4D2.
So if I could get unanimous consent from the committee to move item 4D2, actually, well, it's C, so yeah, off a page. Yes, you're right, 4D2. For consideration at this time, any objections to doing that? Okay, so with unanimous consent, I need a motion to approve item 4D2.
So moved.
And that's a motion from Ms. Hoskins. Do I have a second?
Second, Jake's trying to second, but he's.
Okay,
I
sorry.
tried, but my microphone was off. You can have it.
So we'll give it to Jake. Okay, so a second to Mr. Mather. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Carolyn.
Thank you very much. I look forward to it.
And while we're on recognitions, Mrs. Schott, I think you wanted to say something? Are you still there?
Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Hi, guys. I sorry that you don't have my real face. I'm trying to do a few things at once, but I just wanted to make sure that Dr. Auger and the administration got thanked publicly for the amazing, amazing, amazing graduation weekend. I'm sure you got a flood of emails from people, but it was amazing, and particularly the parade. I was in Wickford, and people that weren't even parents couldn't believe how fun it was. And unfortunately, it sounds like you're on the hook to do it every year now.
Pretty much.
But that was really spectacular. And I saw a video of you holding your sign up, as my son who was on the boat came by, and, you were always holding I saw that little video. And, Phil, you and I spoke briefly when one of my boys crossed the stage. And at that point, it seemed like it was a hard day for you, but you didn't yet know how hard a day it was for you. And you spent from, 7 in the morning until probably 6 at night, standing on your feet in that gym so that people could cross the stage simply symbolically. Like that was such a gift to kids and their parents. And then to have, the tragedy of that day come to fruition, and you back out there the next day, and then you can't even put your feet up because you've got this next thing to deal with. So I just want to say thank you as a parent of of seniors, and just, huge congrats for all the hard work that you did and your staff. I know it wasn't just you, but you're the face of the school. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And I'm remiss for not mentioning the team at the high school, Dr. Morrison, and I think there were probably about 20 different staff members or so, just there all day, greeting parents and kids, making sure everything was moving along well, and it was just a great experience. And so many parents mentioned that they almost prefer this than the Ryan Center. They're in and out a lot faster. It's very meaningful, and they kind of get their own time to, on their own to do it. And so, something to think about. But definitely the car parade, heard nothing but wonderful feedback on that, and it was a lot of fun. We had a perfect day for it, and I know all future classes are ready to go for that. I'm surprised I didn't get an email from Joe Vento yet asking me that for his class, but I'm sure it's coming.
Well,
it'll definitely be something we continue to do.
yeah, I was lucky enough to see Sally there, so that was fun. And yeah, I totally recommend. It was really fun. I got to stand right near her at Wickford.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just great. And I was going to speak at public comments, but that felt a little strange. So I apologize for jumping in here.
Oh,
But
you're-
thank you. Thanks
You're
again.
fine. And I'll echo everything that Sally said. I set up with my kids in front of my office here on Post Road. Not quite as the condensed Wickford part, but that was the beauty of the parade, was that it was spread out, it was safe. I don't think anybody ever felt for a moment that it wasn't being conducted in a way that was appropriate under the circumstances. But yet, we got to see all the kids and honk our horns and yell and scream and jump up and down, and it was great. All right. Thanks for everybody for their hard work. And also, it wasn't really mentioned, the graduation video as well. If you have an opportunity to watch that, virtual graduation speaker who was excellent, a very inspiring program. As the jokes were made, the beauty of it is, if you want to skip and go back, you can skip. Yeah, skip the boring speech if you want. Can't do that in the Ryan Center. But
kudos to Aaron Thomas on that. I mean, we have our own ringer at North Kingstown High School who takes care of all of our video production for us. He and Rob Silvera with pictures, and it's so wonderful to have them ready to go. They're always so giving of their time, so it really made it special.
So thank you to everyone involved. Okay, so moving back to the normal agenda, next item would be our consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like to exempt from the consent agenda? We've already approved item D2, so I'd like a motion to approve the remaining non-exempted, well, there are no exempted, the remaining consent agenda items.
So moved.
We have a motion from Ms. Hoskins,
Second.
second from Ms. Hildebrand. Any comments?
Oh,
Discussion?
yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, I didn't want to exempt it, but I just want to point out the work done by the administration and collectively, because I know teachers and other professionals were involved in getting the educational software and technology package ready. I want to highlight the adoption of a true learning management system. It's obviously been one of my sort of areas of interest for the last 4 years, and I appreciate that the administration and our staff and faculty work collaboratively to get that evaluated and pushed through. And I would just put out to parents, to me, this raises the expectations you should have for teaching and learning. And I hope we really exploit it. It's not just for a response to the remote teaching. It's something that can be used tremendously, whatever modality we're teaching in. And so I look forward to the district really leveraging that to improve teaching and learning. And I really appreciate the work done by everyone in the district to get that ready. And now you've got hard work to get it going for the fall.
All right, thank you. So we had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Don't hear any. Passes unanimously. Next, we have the school committee approval of the impact statement for the NKESP contract that's been negotiated. And I just want to thank everyone who was involved in that. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
The motion from Ms. Hoskins,
Second.
second from Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to unfinished business, we have 2019-20 school budget. Anything on that, Mrs. King?
No, nothing.
Okay, 2021 school budget. We need to approve. These are the final reconciliations to bring our budget in line with what we hope will be our budget for the, well, what is our budget for the 2021 school year. I just want to point out, The state has still not approved the state budget. We still do not know what our state aid is going to be. And there is still a distinct possibility that when those items are completely, resolved, or as those numbers come in, that further adjustments will be necessary. So while this is our final budget, a budget makes assumptions. And if those, revenue assumptions turn out to be less than we expect, we're going to need to make offsets or adjustments or fund balance appropriations or whatever might be necessary, including possibly having, depending on how bad things could be, reaching out to the town council if necessary for additional funds in that area as well. Just so many unknowns right now, but we have a budget and we need to make these final reconciliations. So if I could have a motion to approve the final budget adjustments, which is item 5B1.
So moved.
I have a motion, Mr. Mather,
Second.
second from Ms. Hoskins.
Can I ask
Questions?
a
Yes.
question? So this is the 400,000 that
Yes.
we had to adjust because of the deficit. The printout doesn't necessarily say what those costs are, where the cuts are coming. Am I missing a
Yeah, right
document
at the top.
someplace?
No, right at the top of the ledge file, if you look on it where it says background and then it says financial impact. So we're eliminating $250,000 from object 54603, 80,000 from 52121, and 70,000 from 55660. So what those are, Ms. Hildebrand, is we have eliminated $250,000 of hardware purchases for IT.
Okay.
We reduced by $80,000 in healthcare because we had some reduced healthcare enrollment in open enrollment, and the $70,000 is charters. Yes, thank you, Mr. Jones. I had a blip in my brain there. Yes, because charter numbers are coming in a bit lower than budgeted.
Okay, that makes sense then. Thank you. And then the other question is so we were awarded by the town council the 400,000 in our capital reserve fund, yes?
Yes, we were, and if it works the way it has in the past, Mr. Mollis will ensure that those funds are transferred at the beginning of the fiscal year. Dr.
Okay.
Njay and I do need to check in with him to see how that's going. I don't recall that there were any restrictions put on that. I do believe there was a town council member who tried that, but I don't think that passed.
That's
Yeah, I
correct.
don't think so either. Okay.
So, and then what will happen is, as the year goes on, we will determine, what items that we want to use that for. And, we had things that we mentioned to the town council that, were the things that we would do if given that funding. So I would
Right.
say that we, keep it on that list.
Okay, yeah, I guess that was my question too, if things have changed, because obviously we're kind of in a very different place when that original request went in, and whether we have the ability to make changes if we want to, or does that need to be approved by the town council?
It does not. Once
Okay.
the appropriation is made to the school department and put in our capital reserve fund, it's to the school committee's prerogative what to do with that money. But, save that discussion for a future meeting. Okay.
Right, yeah, obviously can't decide that now. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, we had a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Mrs. King, anything on the CIP existing bond or future bond?
No, I just wanted to remind everybody, I sent you an email with a link to the cameras because they are working on the track resurfacing. So that work has begun. I expect it to be finished in the next couple of weeks.
Excellent. Thank
I
you.
also noticed some big boxes in the parking lot of the high school. Is that
That's
the
the
AC?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was excited to see that.
Yeah, they've been working on that project since mid-May. It's going along very well. And the Davisville Middle School window project as well. They started about a week earlier, but they couldn't start too much earlier because of the delivery of the windows, but it's good to even have that 1 week earlier start.
And it figures this was the 1 year we didn't get any complaints about the heat at the end of the year at the high school.
No, but it will be hot on August 31st.
It
so-
will
It will be
indeed.
hot on August 31st.
Mhm.
Okay, moving on, we have a policy approval. We do this every year. It's the standing orders for policy JLCE. If I could have a motion to approve item 5D.
So moved.
A motion from Ms. Hildebrand,
Second.
second from Mr. Mather. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next, we have reports. In your packet was a disposal notification and the personnel report. And just as a refresher, due to a change in state, as well as the financial reports, due to a change in state law, the school committees of Rhode Island no longer have advice and consent over individual appointments for teachers and things made by the superintendent. So in lieu of that, the administration gives us a report on what those actions were, just so that you know what's going on. So we've reached the end of the regular agenda. Just so folks in the audience understand how this works, we are going to have a continuation of our executive session that we had earlier this evening. Executive sessions are closed to the public. At the conclusion of the executive session, the school committee will reconvene an open session for purposes of disclosing any votes that may have been taken in the executive session this evening and to seal those minutes, at which point we'll formally adjourn the meeting. So at that point, the Zoom link would open up again to anybody who was in the waiting room. But what we're going to do is I'm going to pop people into the waiting room at this point once we do our vote here. So at this point, I need a motion to recess our open session and resume our executive session for discussion of legal advice and litigation pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42462A2, collective bargaining pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A2 regarding NKESP, employee job performance pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A1. The superintendent, the individual has been notified, including of his right to have any discussion held in open session. If I could have a motion to recess our open session and resume the executive session.
So moved.
I have a motion from Ms. Hoskins,
Second.
and a second from Ms. Hildebrand. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. Mrs. King made a note that we made a mistake and we haven't voted on that yet. So we need to back up for a second. And did I jump my agenda? Hold on a second. Mrs. King, are you still there?
I am here.
Where on the agenda was that item you noted?
That would be under personnel D1.
Okay, so we made an error.
I think it's because you moved up the D2.
Okay, so my apologies. We should have exempted D1. And what we did was we voted, well, essentially I'm going to do it more formally, but I'm going to revisit item D1 because I just want to make it clear what we're going to do. So item D1 is, so if I could ask you folks to withdraw the motion on the table, just for.
I withdraw the motion on the table.
Okay, any objections to unanimous consent to withdraw the motion on the table? Okay, hearing none, we're going to back up and I'm going to make a motion just to clarify. So item D1 is the approval of the superintendent's merit allocation for the fiscal 20 year. And my motion is going to be that the school committee approve the full allocation of the merit in the superintendent's contract. If I could have a second.
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 Second from Mr. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Mrs. King. My apologies. I went too fast on that. So now we'll do what we did a second ago again. So I'm going to make a motion that we recess, sorry, well, now I'm all flustered. Let's get this back. The open session and resume the executive session for a discussion of legal advice and litigation pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42462A2, collective bargaining pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A2, the NKESP, and employee job performance pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A1, which is a superintendent. The individual has been notified, including his right to have any discussion held in open session. So I made the motion. Do I have a second? Second from Hoskins. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. So we're going to convene an executive session at this point. So I'm going to move folks to the waiting room. We're not on the actual school committee. Thank you all.